Before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. One click makes sure you never miss hidden treasures or rare coins sitting quietly in your drawer, just waiting to change your life. Now, picture this. A dusty drawer, an old box of forgotten change. Inside, among the usual copper and silver, lies a small, dull brown coin. It's not flashy. It doesn't shine. But it's old. And it has a story. 1 cent 1980. South Africa. If you've seen it, you might have tossed it aside without a second thought. But what if that tiny coin, yes, that one, holds the kind of value that could turn your quiet retirement into a legacy worth talking about? Let's go back for a moment. The year is 1980. The world is shifting. Tensions, politics, breakthroughs in technology. But in the southern tip of Africa, something else is quietly being pressed into metal. A small copper-plated coin is minted, its design unchanged, yet somehow destined to become something greater. The South African 1 cent. A simple coin. No one would have guessed its future. This coin carried the portrait of Jan van Riebeeck, a name that echoes through South African history like a drumbeat. His image was printed on this humble denomination during a time when the country stood at a crossroads, politically, socially, and economically. That was more than just a piece of currency. It was a snapshot of an era. Now, imagine the number of these coins minted back then. Millions. Poured into circulation. Used for sweets, bus fares, forgotten in wallets. But out of all those coins, only a tiny fraction would survive the next 40 years in pristine condition. And even fewer would carry the secret that makes collectors' hearts race. An error. A variant. A minting difference so rare, it turns that coin into a golden ticket. Most people think coins gain value because they're old. But it's not just age. It's scarcity, rarity, a tiny change, a misprint, a flaw, the kinds of things most people never notice. A small difference in metal, a shift in alignment, a design that never made it to mass production but somehow escaped the mint. That's when a coin stops being just a coin. It becomes a legend. Now, let's talk about the kind of man who finds a coin like this. Maybe he's a collector, sure. But more often, he's just like you. A man who's lived a life, raised a family, worked with his hands, seen the world change around him. Maybe he's got a box of old coins from his father. Maybe he held on to them for no reason at all. Sentimental, forgotten, but still there. And when that man finds out what he's holding, that moment, that realization, that everything he thought was ordinary is, in fact, extraordinary. That's what makes these stories worth telling. You see, collectors today aren't just looking for perfect gold bars and shiny rare gems. They're chasing history, real history, coins that tell stories of countries, leaders, and turning points in time. And the 1980 South African 1 cent does exactly that. A time capsule from a complex and powerful nation sitting in your palm. The right coin, in the right condition, in the hands of the right buyer, can command a price that sounds impossible. A price most people associate with luxury cars or beachfront homes. But it's not a dream. It's the reality of numismatics, the world of rare coin collecting. And for those who say it's just a coin, think about this. When gold was discovered in South Africa, people came from all over the world, not for the land, not for the culture, but for the promise of wealth beneath their feet. That hunger for something valuable, that search for something rare, still lives on today. Only now, it might not be in the soil. It might be in a shoebox under your bed. You don't need to be a professional to recognize potential. You just need a sharp eye, a little patience, and a willingness to look at what's already yours with new understanding. Because sometimes, the past gives us a second chance. A moment to rediscover something we overlooked. A coin that everyone ignored, except a few. Now ask yourself, when was the last time you checked your old coins? That drawer in the garage, that container in the attic, that dusty jar of change from a time before cell phones and the internet. It's all still there, waiting. You might be sitting on history without even knowing it. And here's the part you've been waiting for. Among all the South African coins minted in 1980, a few were struck in an exceptionally rare pattern. never released to the public. Those coins, if preserved in mint state condition, are not just rare, they're priceless to collectors. One of these coins, a 1981 cent from South Africa, recently made headlines across the numismatic world. It was authenticated, graded, and auctioned for a price that left jaws on the floor. $3 million. Yes, you heard that right. A single coin, 1 cent, minted in 1980, sold for $3 million. So before you walk past that old jar of coins again, take another look. You never know what you might find. And if you do find that coin, remember, you're not just holding money. You're holding history, a legacy, and maybe, just maybe, your future.